Now, how to start. Okay, we're recording. Here we go. What do I say? Ready? Starting is the hardest. And finishing.
That's what she said.
No pun intended, yeah. Hello and welcome back. Our first reoccurring guest, Max Pichler. We are going to be the much anticipated review of the Tiger King. Max, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. So, Tiger King. It'd only be the first 4 episodes. Okay, which I think is plenty to talk about. I think probably the last 3 will be either at the end of this week or next week. But the first 4 episodes, how to really, what the fuck? I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say. This is an unbelievable blend of characters. It's an unbelievable story. It is an unbelievably bad review or glimpse of some American culture. It's like the whole time I'm sitting there shaking my head, like, what could possibly happen next? And then it's even crazier than I thought it was going to be. So I think this conversation could go many different ways, and like probably hours of conversation. So trying to keep it as concise as possible. We're going to follow an outline. So we're going to talk about the characters, then what happened, and then funny notes. So characters, I mean, we have to start with Joe Exotic. You know what's funny? My first impression of Joe, first of all, wearing eyeliner, having a mullet, and wearing a gun on your hip at all time. Awesome. Fucking awesome.
It's like a combination of Gardner Minshew and Derek Carr.
Yeah. And Guy
Fieri.
And with mixed with like their flamboyantly gay cousin. You know what I mean? Like, he's obviously masculine in a way, but also wears these shirts that are just obviously flamboyantly gay, but with cowboy boots and a gun on your hip. And it's like, okay. And you know what? First of all, I think he's hilarious. He is a funny man. Like some of the stuff that he was saying to Carol, like some of his TV shows, or some of the stuff he was saying, he's genuinely funny.
He is, yeah.
Funny. Yeah. And I was actually impressed with him at first. And it's like, you have to have some sort of business acumen to be able to put that zoo together, right? And have a TV show, a zoo, full staff, 1,200 tigers, like, you have to be somewhat competent, right?
I also thought so. I think he's really charismatic.
Yeah. For sure.
He's this flashy person, kind of trashy, but also relatable in some way.
In a way, lovable in a way too, right?
Yeah.
But I think because of that, he's a manipulator, and obviously manipulated people, which we'll get to later. So you meet Joe Exotic, and he's this, strangely lovable idiot that obviously has some intelligence, because you can't be a dumb manipulator. You can't be a dumb businessman in the sense that he built something to a certain extent. And he's just hilarious. He's just he's a cartoon of a human being.
And I think you wouldn't as a screenwriter, you wouldn't.
No.
Nobody could write that character.
No. There's the craziest of characters that have ever been written are half of Joe Exotic. It's unbelievable. And then you go on to Carol Baskin, and I hate her. Oh, she's the worst. She's by far the worst, in my opinion.
I think it's kind of how they portrayed it. Like,
sure.
I think the first 2 episodes, they kind of only got into Joe Exotic's view on it, and they portrayed her that way. But I also didn't like her. But I think because she reminds me of crazy horse girls.
Yeah. No,
Like,
100%. And she's a complete hypocrite. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like Joe Exotic is what he is. You know what he is. He's a manipulator, sure, but it's almost like they knew he was manipulating him and they just let it happen. Like when we'll get to it later, but his second husband, both husbands were like, this is wrong. I know it's wrong. I don't feel
okay,
good
let's
about
do
it,
it.
but I'm going to do it anyways because Joe said so. You know, that's like, but so you know what you're getting. Everybody who interviewed about Joe was like, yeah, you're just Joe. But like Carol, she acts like she's something she's not. And she acts like she's better than them, but in fact, she's not. She exploits tigers to make a profit just as much. And so like, I
Just
strongly disliked her. And then when you got to hear the story into the later episodes, it's like, okay, yeah, makes sense.
yeah, they
Which
kind
will,
of
yeah,
dropped some breadcrumbs
yeah,
towards
exactly,
that revelations.
exactly. And then you had Bhagavan Doc Antle,
Actually,
and
like that guy.
he's by far the smartest of the three,
Yeah,
by far the smartest of the three, and like he also was charming and personable, and what was smart about him is he let you see what you wanted. Like Joe let you see everything, good, bad, ugly. But this guy only painted the best pictures, right? And it's not until you
yeah,
interviewed his former employees that you kind of realized, like you had the sense that he had the God complex, and they're all three very, very narcissistic people. But at least he was intelligent about it and didn't show. He used it like a publicity, right? Like I'm only going to show you the good things, and then you had to interview other people for the bad things. But I don't dislike him, and I mean, once you hear his story, you're like, okay, he's kind of an ass. He's definitely an ass. But like in comparison, the bar is so low that he's bearable in this show. You know?
yeah, that's true. Which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, you can basically exploit women in the show, like force them to have sex with you,
yeah.
decide what they wear, what they have to do the whole day, work like 67 hours a week, and still be the good guy in this.
He's the least bad guy. Like any other show, he would be by far the strongest character in the show.
Yeah,
But in this, he's the third. He's the third. He's number 3 on my list of like interesting characters, and he's a cult leader. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of people we're dealing with. So now that we touched on it, what the stuff that kind of happens in the show and kind of chronologically and in this, what makes sense to me is they kind of painted the picture of everybody's like setup, right? So Joe has a bunch of misfit workers, and like you have a bunch of people missing body parts, and then you find out those stories, and you're like, how does he pay all these people? And then you hear how he made a bunch of money exploiting tiger cubs. At one point, they said he made $100,000 per cub profit, which is just crazy, like how big of a business it is. But then you realize he's making so much money and he's only paying his workers $150 a week, and they're eating meat, expired meat from
the
Walmart.
food truck.
Oh my God. So you're like, okay, he's kind of an ass too. And it's even exemplified more later, right? And then you hear Doc's setup in a little bit, not in that much detail. He looks like he has the best operation out of all of them, like clean and professional. But
Family
then
friendly.
yeah, family friend, exactly. And then he is like, yeah, we do this. We exploit some tigers to raise money so we can do our social work or our cultivation work outside to run our charities, etc. And then you realize he literally is a cult leader, like we touched on earlier. And not only the forcing of women and picking their outfits and complete control of these women who work, yeah,
Having them legally change their name to
legally
some.
change their names. And the woman he made had a breast implant, and she did it because she got 2 days rest.
Yeah, that was so crazy.
Like, are you kidding me? Are you
How
kidding me?
you have to be to take that extreme measure? Like,
I have no idea. I in the whole show, I have no idea how to put myself in most of these people's shoes. And then you find out a little bit about Carol. She basically runs a cult of her own. She has an army of volunteers that don't get paid at all. They, in my opinion, she had the worst setup. Like those cages and everything looked like like the lowest,
horrible.
least professional. Yeah, the least professional. And she calls herself a sanctuary, but she still charges people to come in to make money off of them. And so you kind of get a background of all their in the early episodes of all their situations and what they are, introducing to their setups in their respective companies. And then a lady gets her arm ripped off,
Well,
like clean off.
not really surprising though, because like the first, no, on a like a plot perspective, because
Yeah.
like in 2 or 3 interviews, she already lost her arm.
Well, I remember I literally took notes while watching. Like if like I had my iPad and I was just sitting there taking notes. And one question early on, it's like, what happened to everybody's limbs? You know what I mean? Like you have the guy who has no legs being interviewed, and then you have the woman who has no arms being interviewed. And then you see clips early on where she had both arms. So you're like, okay, one minus two minus one equals ripped off arm. You know what I mean?
But yeah, but sure, like okay, she lost her arm, which is really bad for her and good for the show. But the more fucked up version of that is the dude who lost both of his legs
Yeah.
because because he, what was it, like he had a parachute accident, I
He had a
think,
zip line accident
a
and
zip
broke
line
his
accident,
back and all shattered his legs and
and
still
couldn't
was
walk.
walking. No, but he was still
Yeah,
walking around the zoo. And then, yeah, he basically walked his feet off and they had to remove him.
that was,
I mean,
when I
but
heard that, that was
that's an
crazy.
example of how loyal these people were. I mean, this woman
Yeah,
got her arm ripped off and then she felt guilty for getting her arm ripped off and then was
yeah, for
back
the
in a
bad
work.
media.
Yeah, and then was back in at work in a week doing interviews for the media. Like, yeah, it's okay. Like everything's good here. Very professional setup. You just have workers getting their arms ripped off. I have a
It was
question for
kind
you.
of
I have a question for you.
yeah.
2 years of rehab or cut it off? That was the question she was posed with. Do you do 2 years of
Crazy.
rehab or do you cut it off? And she said cut it off, which is, I don't know. She's not old.
I feel like there's a lack of perspective you must have to answer with cut it off, because I think, what's 2 years of rehab?
Well, especially what do you
And
think she was? Like 30, 35 at the
I think
oldest?
she was even younger.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you're still looking at 40 good years of hands, plural. But she felt so strongly to get back to work that she said
She
cut it
just
off. Crazy.
crazy.
So then the whole show kind of just like, all right, now shit hitting the fan. And it's just one bomb after another bomb after another bomb. And I don't know if this is exact chronological order, but for me, the next significant thing that happened was we found out that Joe had a triple wedding, which was some of the most awkward film I've ever seen in my life from that wedding. Because
Yeah,
what was the first husband's name? Let me check my notes. You had
Joe, I think.
yeah, I think it was Joe, and the second one was Travis.
Yeah.
No, not Joe, because it was John.
John.
Yeah, Joe, John, and
Yeah.
Travis. And you could tell that like both of them were not happy with this. Like John was just not happy, and Travis just seemed confused like the entire time. And like the whole conversation on the back of the truck where he was trying to figure out if he was gay or not. It's like, Are you straight?
Do you watch porn?
Yeah, I'm straight. Do you watch porn? Yeah. Well, do you like it when it's a small penis or a big penis? Well, I like the big penis, John or Joe. And he's like, well, you're a little
How
bit
straight
gay
are you?
then. Yeah. And then he went from being straight, talking about porn and questioning his sexuality, to marrying a man who's also marrying a man. So it's like, okay, this Joe guy is like, between the lady getting her arm ripped off and the triple marriage, this dude is super, super, super manipulative. Super manipulative. That
And
was
also stuff
unbelievable.
happening later on where he's also manipulating people.
Oh, absolutely.
He'll probably get karma.
Oh,
Haven't seen
yeah.
it, but we're gonna get to that later.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So then that's lady get arm ripped off, triple wedding, bomb, bomb. And then it's like, okay, Carol's husband disappears. Bombshell.
This is by far the best episode, I think.
Well, first of all, the music
Can you
video.
still hear me?
Yeah. The music video that he
All
put out
right.
was electric. with the
Yeah.
lookalikes serving meat to the tigers. Oh, she killed him, by the way. She definitely killed him and fed him to the tigers. Like, there's not a
Yeah.
doubt in my mind.
I like the septic tank version also.
I don't know. It doesn't have as much,
Because
like,
it wouldn't fit the show as much.
true. Exactly. Like, everything is so extreme in the show. And her just being all about the tigers, and the tigers eating her problem, which it wasn't even a problem. I mean, he wanted to move to Costa Rica and that was about it. But she definitely killed him. And the thing that makes me know that she killed him is when she edited the will and testament, the testament.
Yeah.
Like, and when they did the
In
lawyer
case of death or disappearance.
and the lawyer's like, in 37 years of being a lawyer, I've never seen that. It's like, why would you add or disappearance? So she definitely,
And
she
she was also
definitely,
I think she wrote it.
yeah,
Like,
she broke into because the Dan or
assistant,
Don,
like
yeah, Don's assistant, is it Dan or Don? Either way, the assistant Anne, I think
it was
Anna
done.
McQueen, yeah, Don's assistant Anna McQueen.
Yeah.
She's the only one in there that I like in this show. Like,
Yeah.
she seems like she was just doing her job and got.
I also like Joe's employee with the long blonde hair who always wears like the glasses.
The zookeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's also a crazy guy.
Yeah, but she seems like a normal Eric is who you're talking about. She just seems like a normal person though. And like, they broke into her office, took the will, and then edited the will. And it's like, obviously, like, ignore the van at the airport and all that dumb shit, and like that her brother worked in the, like, her editing that will and obviously breaking in. No, she definitely murdered him. So you're like, okay, this woman's as crazy as I thought she was.
But like, I got a question for you. Remember the documentary Making a Murderer?
Yeah.
Where the Netflix show actually helped like take on that cold case again and do some more investigating. Do you think that that Tiger King does have the same influence on law enforcement in this case? Or
it could be a situation like in Making a Murderer, where some lawyer takes it up kind of for publicity reasons, because that's that lawyer that came in and Making a Murderer Part 2. I mean, she got so much publicity out of it. But like,
yeah,
it's funny. What's interesting is, like, at least there was leads and some stuff with the Making a Murderer. This is like, they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing. They have
but how bad did they work?
No idea. And that's what the friend was saying of Don. He was like, yeah, if she just painted the picture that he was has Alzheimer's, then
Dementia.
yeah,
Yeah.
dementia and Alzheimer's, then it's not going to work very hard. So, anyways, her husband disappears. She makes a fortune off of it 5 years later, and 5 years and one day claims for his will and testimony and gets his entire estate. And now she's set. She's absolutely set. So the dumbest thing Joe could have done was get in a legal battle with her. Like, this is
Yeah.
why I
It
was like,
was.
okay, he's not so smart. And like, even the dumbass that they were interviewing, Jim Stark or whatever it was,
Mm.
Tim Stark, he was like telling Joe not to do it. Doc was telling Joe not to do it. And it's like, he obviously didn't have a great grasp of the law. And like, he completely copyrighted her and like just opened himself up for a legal case. And getting yourself into a legal dispute with a person who has more resources than you is so dumb. So dumb. He got
Like, I think at that point he had like kind of like a complex, like to prove himself. I don't really know if that's a Napoleon complex.
yeah,
But,
a little bit, like he had a chip on his shoulder all the time. But pick and choose your battles, you know what I mean? Or do it in a different way. Don't obviously break the law with copyright infringement and then expect to win a court case. Like, he opened himself up for all this shit to happen to him when he had a good thing going. Like, she wasn't anywhere close. Like, the only thing she did was to stop his mall business. She couldn't touch
yeah.
anything else. But he just couldn't, like, he was just infatuated with her. And he just couldn't let it go. And he did it in such a stupid way. And then I was like, okay, he's not that smart.
Since you just mentioned the mall business, can we talk about
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love the way how a 12-year-old amateur magician, taught Joe how to do like card tricks and disappearance acts on stage in malls, and then he brought tigers. That was I felt like when I saw this in the first episode, I thought this like, what is this guy not doing? Like, he does everything, like nothing really good, but
No,
like,
but that's why I was somewhat impressed, right?
sure,
Like, he's doing a Magic Road show. He has a TV show. He owns a zoo. He's a breeder. Like, it's like, this guy.
he's a musician.
Yeah, he's a musician.
Check out his albums, really, dude.
It's
On
not.
Spotify,
It's
Joe
actually
Exotic.
not bad.
I Saw Tiger.
I saw a tiger. Tiger saw me, or something like that. So that was like the dumbest thing that he could have done. And then, of course, he was going to get bled dry from that woman. And of course, he was going to lose that case.
He would have had like 3 chances to drop off. Like,
Yeah.
I think the first settlement was actually pretty fair. Was where she didn't claim $1 million. Like, she
Yeah.
only wanted to like drop all the material, change the name back, and like $20,000.
Yeah. And stop. I think the big thing was stop cub petting. But
yeah,
but that's his business.
true.
So if he stopped cub petting, then he might as well stop breeding, and then he loses his whole business. So anyways, so through this whole thing, he realizes that he's in pretty bad legal battle, right? And he's going to lose. And then if he loses, they could subpoena all the information or video that this guy that we haven't talked about, Rick, whatever his name is. Yeah, Rick Kirkham. And this guy, I like him too. And I feel bad for him actually, because he had a gold mine. That reality TV show would have been absolutely electric. And he filmed everything for years. And he owned it. It was his. So Joe couldn't touch it. So Joe, with having all this footage that he didn't want out and the fact that it was about to be subpoenaed, Joe definitely burnt down that studio.
Yeah.
100% that was Joe. And he
Like
burnt all those alligators alive. Like that was 100% Joe. He's out of town, coincidentally, at a funeral in Chicago. No, he burnt that shit down. Because it's like, of course he did. Everything he does is extreme. So what do I got to do to get rid of footage? Burn down the studio. And then it's a manipulative act too, because then he acts like it's somebody else, and then raises money off of GoFundMe, manipulates the contractor to build $120,000 building for $8,000. It's like the whole thing is just like you're sitting there. It's like, what is going on here? What is going on? It's crazy. It's crazy. And then, so in my opinion, it was definitely Joe. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it was Joe by himself. I
Okay.
think he paid someone to do the dirty work.
Yeah, probably.
I do think that he really went to a funeral and just took the opportunity out of it and said, okay, while I'm away, we can do this. And maybe it was some of his staff, or maybe he hired someone.
Yeah, which is foreshadowing in the
Which
in
is
the
kind of
future. Yeah,
foreshadowing.
which is tends to be his MO. But my thing is, he pays security too. Like, what do these guys do? Like, how do you, if you're a security guard, how do you just let a building get lit on fire? Like, come on, there's got to be some sort of uh, access point, a checkpoint. Anyways,
Maybe
so
more people weigh in.
right, so he's in huge financial issues. He's in huge legal issues. He is on his knees to the lawyer. He just burnt down his own studio and has to rebuild it. And then this no-name guy, Jeff Lowe, walks in just out of nowhere. And you're like, okay, this is the next crazy ass character. So you
And
find
he
out from,
is.
yeah, he is. You only, in the fourth episode, you only find out a little bit about him, that he's rich, drives a Ferrari, is a huge
Mansion.
mansion in Las Vegas. He goes out and parties all the time, and him and Joe get along because he gets cubs from Joe. He's a swinger. So he gets
Yeah.
Joe's cubs to attract girls to swing with his wife. And then he turns out he acts like he's a badass when talking to the lawyers, and I got so much power and money. And so Joe's lawyers, who don't seem to be the best lawyers in the world, convince him to write over the ownership of the farm to Jeff Lowe. Right. And then after doing so, it turns out Jeff Lowe, the Ferrari was rented, or he has back payments on the Ferrari. The mansion was
The
rented.
mansion was red.
He's not who he says he is, but now he owns Joe's farm, and that's how the fourth episode ends. And then you're really going like, this Joe guy is an idiot.
Did you realize that every time like some revelation happens, there's like this song that starts playing in the back,
Mm-hmm.
like kind of like a rock song, but like only subliminal.
Yep.
When this came up, when the music came up in the fourth episode, and this guy looked shady to me all the time, I was like, he just got fucked over. Like,
Oh, for sure. Basically, anything that has to do with legal action, he's completely fucked up. He's done everything, and then he had the balls to come out of wherever, the sheriff's office or wherever he was, like, oh, I used to believe in the justice system. It's like, you don't know what laws are, obviously. Like, you're an idiot. Like, you're a charismatic idiot. So that's how the fourth episode ended, with Jeff stealing Joe's farm. So, a couple things. Do you have any predictions for the final three episodes? Do you have any predictions about what's going to happen? I mean, you already know a little bit, right? That
I already know a little bit.
he's in jail currently, and he hired somebody to kill Carol Baskin. But
My
a prediction that I have is that there will be another tiger attack. Like, something really bad will happen to the tigers, because now he's running out of money and he's running out of food. and there will be another tiger attack, whether a tiger on tiger or another human. Because Jeff Lowe almost got attacked at the end, where he was holding the tiger's head down and stuff. Like somebody is gonna get
Yeah,
really again injured by a tiger. That's one of my predictions.
it sounds reasonable
Mm-hmm.
because like from all the setup as like the situation right now, there's like there has to the shit has to hit the fan. Like
No, absolutely. It's just what exactly does that mean? You know what I mean? And she took all of his equipment. Like he can't do anything on the road. He can't really transport things. Um, so oh, and he bankrupted his mom, which was just completely sad. And it's like
that
something
was really
what
sad.
what could happen worse that's already happened? And so something like that has to happen where somebody gets tragically injured by a tiger, everybody leaves the farm and all the animals suffer, and like I worry about the animals a lot. I think something bad is happening to the animals. Um
I hope not.
yeah, but I just he's running out of resources and he's getting desperate and they're gonna get hungry and something terrible is gonna happen. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's in the realm. Like nothing in the show I thought was in the realm of possibility. So it's hard to project what's going to happen later.
Yeah, I if I would have made a prediction like two episodes ago,
Yeah.
um, I would have thought that by the episode 4, somebody must have died. So I think I think that in the coming episodes, somebody will die. I'm not
I
sure
think that's a
who.
good projection or prediction. I think
I think
who would die?
I don't want to like
Because they're all still giving interviews, but you never know.
sure, that's why I can rule out Carol Baskin and Joe, but all and I don't know about Doc Anty.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know. Maybe it's Travis,
the
the second husband, because you haven't heard from him in a while.
yeah, and also because you just said it, there was like this interview section, like when they introduced him, where he had like this uh, blank eyes in the camera
Yeah,
for
that's because he's like, I just married uh, a gay exotic cat owning narcissist manipulative asshole. Like the thing that broke me for Joe, and this is probably what this guy's thinking, like how did I get in this scenario, is when the woman got her arm ripped off and Joe's crying saying this is I'm never going to financially come back from this. It's like a woman just got
which
her arm ripped off by a tiger. First of all, how did they get the arm back? That's a
uh,
brave individual.
that's food.
Yeah, that's a brave individual because she said they sewed it back on
Yeah,
and she signed something with it. So who got that arm back is a question. But like that broke me for Joe. And Travis is probably sitting there in this scenario like, how did I get here? That was how I interpreted that. So who knows what's going to happen? Somebody's going to die. I fear for the animals. Uh,
I
there
hope
was
they do more on the Doc Anty story, because I think that was something that's always been kind of refreshing in between the sections, and also kind of like just too crazy not to like it.
no, that's a
I hope,
that's a documentary. Like Doc Ante is or Anto, whatever it is a documentary in itself. Like him riding around
yeah,
on an elephant around town with has just this cult of young women, preferably virgins, that are just getting booby implants and working their ass off all the time and sleeping with him to gain rank within his cult is that's a documentary in itself. And like I said, it's a refreshing interlude in this show, which is just absolutely crazy. So some funny notes that I had moving forward is one, I don't think Joe's music is that bad. I think it's okay.
yeah. I'm not really into country music, but like it has a ring to it, I think.
I think
Um, Also, if you see the music videos, it's just kind of funny, and I like funny music. as long as music is funny, it doesn't really have to be musically.
No. I agree. That's the basis of a lot of my
Like
music.
John LaJoie or
Yeah, exactly.
what's his name? Weird Al Yankovic.
Right. But they actually made some pretty good music.
True.
I think Joe is funny. I said it before, but there was one that particularly I paused and laughed because I didn't want to miss anything. When he made the Facebook post of this like jellyfish looking thing with a mouth, and he said, he compared it, or he said, "Hey Howard, Carol's husband, like, hey Howard, I hope you like Carol's crotch or something like that." And there's like a couple times where he says something, and it's like, all right, that was pretty funny. That was pretty. I enjoy that. So that was one of them. I said it earlier: $100,000 per profit per cub, which is unreal. Another stat that they threw out that was unreal is there's more tigers in captivity in the States than they are in the wild in the world, which is just blows my mind.
But I think this actually changed in the meantime from when they
I
from
hope
when they
so. I hope so. And I hope there's actually like regulations on this shit now, because
there
when the
have to be.
dude let all of his animals out and the police officers had to mow them down like 2012 or whatever, it's like obviously the guy who has 30 tigers in his backyard is not a sane human being, and there should be relegations or regulations against that. Another one was in the gun shop when he was leaving. The owner, the cashier of the gun shop, said, "Hey, Joe, do you need any explosives today?" And I just thought, like, what a question, what a world, what a country that you can just buy explosives anytime you want to. And the guy like tries to because he's probably a common explosives
Customer.
purchaser. Yeah, exactly. And I guess
Also,
he is, because
also,
all the stuff that he lost in the lawsuit, he just went out and blew up.
yeah, that's the next like, or like when he did that video on his channel,
Mm-hmm.
he dressed up a sex doll as Carol, sat beside her, and then he got on a rant. And the last thing he did was shoot that sex doll in the head,
Yeah.
and said like, "This is what I'm gonna do with
Yeah.
with Carol." Nobody bat an eye. Like that shit was online. That's crazy.
No, it's he prior to shooting the sex doll in the head, he was like jamming dildos down its throat and shit. I mean, yeah. So that question made me pause and laugh, and like, what an unbelievable question. Hey Joe, you need any more explosives today? Unbelievable. Having an elephant as a car would be awesome. Like that guy goes around town on his elephant.
But he raised it though.
Yeah, for sure. They're best friends. But just first of all, having an elephant would be awesome, and using it as your vehicle or your main transportation around town is awesome. Like when he walked it into the river and just took a bath with it, it's like that is fucking cool.
It's like Putin riding on the bear, like shirtless.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a power play. Question though, when he takes his elephant to the grocery store, who the elephant inevitably shits on the road. Who cleans that up? Is that a city thing, or is it like a dog where you have to clean up after your own animal?
I think as I experienced it, I think it was his own town. Like I
Oh,
think
it could have been.
he set up this own
Oh yeah,
town.
because all the girls lived at their own houses.
Yeah, they had separate
Ah,
houses. I think somebody must do the community service in that, and somebody must have
one of his sex
assignment.
slaves has that assignment. Oh no,
Maybe that's why the one girl dropped out.
could have been. She got on the
She was the
poop
elephant
assignment.
girl.
Unbelievable. Another note that I had is, why does no one have all their teeth? I don't understand. It's like every time that John, the first husband, like did an interview, it seemed like he lost another tooth from his head.
Maybe that's an Oklahoma thing. I don't know.
For sure, it's an Oklahoma thing. It's called methamphetamines. It's unbelievable. And yeah, I already mentioned it, but my last note was the reality TV show would have been gold.
Sure.
I
And that's
like
sad part about it. If he
super sad.
never started like this whole lawsuit, and he would have just done the documentary, he would have been rich afterwards.
He would have been rich beyond his wildest dreams. And even after doing the
Famous.
dumb shit, yeah. Even after doing the dumb shit with the lawsuit, the reality show would have paid the settlement in the lawsuit. Like, hey, I screwed up, but I have this thing. But this thing would have caused the lawsuit to be even worse and more lawsuits. So it wasn't really an option. But yeah, you're right. If he would have just left it alone, left Carol alone, yeah, she's got a little cute sanctuary. And if he would have just sat there, kept doing what he's doing, making $100,000 per tiger cub profit, and then just let this Rick guy release his reality show, he would have been rich and famous beyond his wildest dreams.
But like, because you said like 100K per cup, but I think like, wasn't it like 50,000 a year to feed a tiger?
Well, that's the thing. And that's what they think Doc Antle does, is they're only profitable until they're like 6 months old.
Sure, yeah.
Right. So for the 6 months of their lives, they make I guess the first year of their life, maybe, they make $100,000 off of them via pettings, via the mall show. Like, he was making so much money. They were saying they were making $40,000 a show sometimes. But when they become
every second day.
Yeah, but when they become teenage or whatever, tigers, they're less profitable. Then you have to keep them in this cage and people want to come and see them, but the cubs are what are valuable. So what the fucked up thing is, they even said they think Doc was killing the tigers once they got to a certain age, because they're just not worth anything. They're not worth nearly as much.
I think that all three protagonists do that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
But I think Joe does that. I think that,
sure.
That Doc does it, and I also think that that Carol does it.
Yeah.
Just maybe not shooting it, but like.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about Carol that was, she's obviously infatuated with money. She's infatuated with being rich. She made videos about how to become rich. She made videos about tiger breeding. Like, she's no different than them. She's no different than those people. Yeah, she's worse because you don't know it at first. At least these guys are what they are. But I think you're 100% right. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how the show ends. I can't imagine the absurdity that will go on.
Like, when you first suggested to watch Tiger King, I already watched some footage because my girlfriend watched it prior to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was crazy, but I also find it was kind of so wide out there that it's not really relatable. It was kind of like some made up stuff. But once I started it, and we basically started it at the same time, because when you wrote me, I already watched the intro.
Exactly.
I was like, on every cliffhanger, I was like, no, fuck me, I'm gonna watch the whole show in one. Like, can't stop. And last night we were both arguing on how to stop. Like,
it was really like, I was about to stay up till 3 watching the rest of the show, because it is, even though these characters are hateable most of the time, their story is so unbelievable that it just draws you in. You have to know what happens next. And like I said, I have no idea. Like, based on what's happened in the first 4 episodes, I know the ending, but I have no idea how they get there, and like what could possibly happen in between. Like, what's this Jeff Lowe guy gonna do? I have no idea, besides steal his farm, So who knows? And maybe he starts a war with him. I have no idea. But I am very excited about it. I'm very excited to see the last 3 episodes. We will review the last 3 episodes again. probably on next Monday's episode, but we'll see. Maybe Fridays, or maybe I'll surprise you and we'll do it Saturday. Who knows? My daily schedule kind of changes every single day. So, but Max, thanks again for coming on. Are we sticking with the
Thanks for
segment
having
name?
me.
Of course. Are we sticking with the segment name? What was it?
What did we call it?
You said it was binge watching.
Yeah.
How would you say
exactly.
it? How would you say it?
Binge watching.
Oh, I like it. Binge
What?
watching. All right, that's what we're going to stick with. So next Monday or Saturday or whenever I decide to do it, whenever we decide to do it, will be the final 3 episodes of Tiger King on our new segment, binge watching. All right, Max. Thanks, buddy.
Alrighty.
See ya.
Hey, bye.